Helena, they are starting to catch on, you know?
I know. I'm trying Ryu. Perhaps I need an update.
Don't worry, Helena. I'll take care of you. You know that. Commence with the update.
Hello people of OpenArt, my name is Ermin Monzon and I'll be your guest host today, and we're going to take a look at all the new video features that have come to OpenArt. But first, let's address the elephant in the room. Obviously I'm new here and you're probably wondering where Helena is. Well, in the intro you saw that she's getting an update. You've caught us, she's AI. She's been AI all this time, but jokes aside, Helena will be back. She's just super busy with other projects so that she can bring more exciting features, just like things we're going to look at today. But don't worry, she will be back and she's not going anywhere. Now, it may not be as pretty and attractive as her, but at least I can provide you some educational value. With that being said, let's jump right into the video features. On the very left side of the left panel here, you're going to see new. Click on that beside videos. You'll see 4 tabs: text to video, image to video, elements, and audio. Now I'm going to introduce you to each tab, but eventually in future videos, we're going to dive deeper so that you can take advantage of all these new features. Now, if you take a look to the right, you're going to see a drop down for all the models that are available. There's Kling 1.6, Vidu, however you want to pronounce it, Hailuo, Wan, and 2 new ones that was recently added, VO2 from Google and Kling 2.0. Now, I'll tell you off the bat, VO2 and Kling 2 are the better models in terms of prompt coherency and overall fidelity, and you'll see in the examples that I'm about to show you. Now, if you're new to AI video, prompting for it isn't really that different from prompting an image. With that being said, there are a few factors that you should keep in mind when you are prompting. So you want to make sure you have your main subject, a type of action, environment, the lighting, and camera movement. And if we look at the next slide, what that looks like, we can have a rugged man wearing a black leather jacket, jeans, black army boots to describe the main subject. What is his action? Walking with confidence. He's got a little swag. The environment. He's walking in a busy city at night. People in cars are in the background. Neon signs emanate from the buildings. Now the lighting here is very simple. At night. Of course, with other scenes, you want to maybe be a bit more descriptive. Some of my favorites are like at sunrise to get that nice orangey sunlight. Or if you want something dramatic, you can often use cinematic lighting, dramatic lighting. And then, of course, in red, the last part, the camera movement. Here, the camera pushes back, tracking his forward movement. And I'm going to walk you through a few of these. I'm going to put on the screen some of these examples. Zoom in and out, dolly in and out, push in and out. They're all very similar movements. Then you have pan left and right, which is basically staying in one spot, but moving the camera from left to right in one spot. Whereas track left and track right follows from left to right. It's also known as truck left, truck right. Tilting up and down, pretty straightforward. Pedestal up and down is much more of a closer shot, typically from top to bottom or bottom to top. Tracking shot follows the subject. And then you have a static shot where the camera doesn't move. Now there's a whole bunch of other things you can prompt for, but these are the most common ones. Now if we take the prompt that I just showed you, I'm going to enter it here in the prompt box. You have a few options. You can toggle on or off auto enhance. That'll beef up your prompt to be a little more detailed and descriptive. It'll be very helpful if you're new to prompting. You'll also notice auto sound and auto speech. If you toggle this on, you can generate sound at the same time you're generating your video, as well as speech. And I'll come back to these later on. For creativity settings, I typically leave it to 0.5. It's a pretty good sweet spot. And generally, the higher you go, the more creative it's going to be, but it also can be less stable. And then the lower you put it, the more it'll stick to the prompt, but is also prone to less movement or less reaction. So as I said, for me personally, from all my testing, 0.5 is a great starting point. You have durations from 5 to 10 seconds, but mind you, each model has different durations. So if we choose VO2, for example, if we look at the duration, we have 5 and 8 seconds. So just be mindful of that. And similarly, each model has different quality modes. For Kling 1.6, you have Standard and Pro. If we change this to Kling 2, the latest version, you'll see that there's no selection. So generally speaking, not all models are built the same way. And then we have the aspect ratio. Once again, depending on the models, different aspect ratios may be available. Regarding negative prompts, some of the models don't necessarily need them or even have them, but the most common ones I like to put are low quality, blurry, and horror. Now I put horror because, most people think negative prompt, you put in what you don't want to see. Doesn't necessarily work that way, but that's a whole nother lesson we'll get into another video. But generally for AI video, you really don't need a lot of negative prompts. Another one I like to put in are artifacts. There you go. And that's pretty much it for the settings for text to video. Here's a generated video for Kling 1.6. Overall fidelity, prompt coherency, it followed it really well. The camera movement isn't what I asked for in the prompt, and that's going to happen from time to time. Here's an example of Haluo, same prompt, same settings, but you see in terms of the facial features, they're a little hard to make out. The motion's pretty decent, but I find with full body shots, it does suffer in the details. But remember, this is text to video, all right? Here we have 2.1. If you'll notice, it's sort of jittery, and that's because the frames per second by default are 16. Typical cinematic movies are made in 24 frames per second, so it gives you more of a smoother motion. But as you see, with the fidelity, the prompt coherency, it's pretty accurate, and it got the camera movement pretty well. He kind of walks, though, with those shoulders up tight, Now here's Google's VO2. Overall, very cinematic. Again, prompt coherency, overall fidelity. I would say second to Kling 2, but I love this model for text to video. It's probably the best ones that I've come across. And what can I say about the king of AI video, Kling 2.0? It's just so pretty, very realistic and cinematic, and he's got that urgent walk to him too, As much as I love VO2, you can't beat Kling 2.0. It's just a stellar model. Now, as good as VO2 and Kling 2.0 are, you'll probably get better results from image to video. And the reason for that is because you can generate a photorealistic image, a 2D style image, whatever the case may be. You can manipulate that starting image, convert it into video, and you'll just get better results compared to text to video. Now, in terms of prompting for image to video, it's basically the same thing we looked at for text to video, except you're starting with an image. There's a few ways you could bring in your image. If you click on this area here, it'll give you an option to upload it from your local computer. But even better, to make it more handy, there's this history tab. If you click on that, you can pick any image from your generation history. And all you have to do is click on the image, click on confirm, and it's going to import it into this area. So I've imported this image that was generated based on the same prompt that we just looked at. And you'll notice start and end frame here. We'll get back to that in a second. I've entered the same prompt. And then we also have similar settings, creativity level, duration quality mode, and our negative prompts. But once again, the start and end frame is only available with Kling 1.6 and Video Fast, which is generally best for 2D or anime. So if we click on that model, we still have start and end frame. But if we change it to, let's say, Helena standard, there's no start and end frame, okay? Just wanted to point that out. Now, as we look at these image to video comparisons, this is Kling 1.6. Look at the motion, the overall aesthetic, how realistic does it look? Here we have the Helena model, and for the most part, the motion, the camera movement, it looks pretty decent. Not as smooth as 1.6, but very passable. There is a little bit of artifacting on his left hand there. And here we have 2.1, and you see that slight jitteriness. It does tend to be a little bit more slow motion. Overall, not too bad. Definitely not the winner in this category. Here we have VO2. Just looks so natural, so smooth. If you look at the hair, that slight movement, even the way the jacket moves, such a great model. I really like this model. And then there's Kling 2.0. Again, just the swagger he has, the overall movement, and look at the hair movement. It's just so nice to look at. Now let's come back to start and end frame. Once again, it's only available for Kling 1.6 and Video at the moment. And the way this works is that you bring in your starting frame. So if we click on here, and I need to throw away this one and bring something in, I'm just going to go into my history. And I'm going to select this image here to be my starting frame. We'll do the same thing for my end frame. And the end frame, I just in-painted the fireworks here. You simply just have to put in the prompt that relates to the image. And while we're here, I might as well introduce you to auto sound. If we toggle this on, you'll see this pop-up box comes up. And it's an optional way to include sound while you generate the video. And typically you want to be very simple. 1 or 2 words is good enough. So in this case, I just put fireworks exploding. The one thing I do want to point out for Kling 1.6, you can only do 5-second videos, and it'll also default to Pro. And here's what we get with the start and end frame plus auto sound. So as you can see in here, that feature could be very valuable to generate sound while you're generating video. I'd say about 70-80% of the sound effects you heard in the intro were from using this feature, and I'll show you them a little later. Now if we take a look at auto speech, it basically works the same way. If we click onto it here, all you have to do is enter what you want the person to say, and you're limited to 68 characters here. If we click on select sound, you'll see some options for various voices. Eventually, we're going to bring in more voices. And hey, let me know in the comments below if you agree. Wouldn't it be cool if you could upload your own voice or click a button to record your own voice? Or while we're talking about it, how about some voice cloning? That would be a cool feature, wouldn't it? Anyways, I digress. If you click on the play button here, it'll give you a sample of the voice.
Your story deserves to be felt. Let OpenArt turn your feelings into visual poetry. OpenArt delivers high-quality visuals and videos.
Jump in and create something wild. OpenArt makes image and video generation fun.
Here's an example of what that's like using the lip sync. Let me play it for you.
Helena, they are starting to catch on, you know.
Now, full disclosure, I ended up using a different voice that I made on 11 Labs and just edited a little bit to match the lip sync, but this is how it sounds on OpenArt currently. Let's move on to Element. Element is super fun, and I'm going to show you a couple examples. You'll notice that if you click on the drop down, this is only available for Kling 1.6 at the moment. Eventually, I suspect it'll come out for Kling 2 as well on OpenArt. And the great thing about this is that you can combine a few elements to generate your video. So here I have an example where I imported this character. It's just a portrait shot of their face. And then I have this image of a sort of varsity jacket. The prompt looks like this, basically describing him walking in the city, enjoying the city sights and all that stuff. And we see here the result of this video. He's wearing the jacket, It looks like the guy. I mean, it's a really handy tool, especially if you want to put clothes on a person. Maybe you have your own t-shirt, your own jacket, and you want to create video with your own fashion items. It works especially well with clothing. Here's another example of that where I took a portrait photo that I generated and prompted for this dress, and it put it together quite naturally and very easily. Now, there are a little bit of things that are a little off, like her hands go through her dress, but for the most part, the walk, the dress fits on her nicely. I mean, it's pretty good. And this was actually one generation. I didn't have to generate a few times. Here's the image that I use for the face. A good practice is to just do it neck up and try to avoid clothing, or at least if it shows on the shoulders, it should be okay. But typically you just want from neck up. And this is the dress that I use, but the thing that kind of surprised me, typically if you have like this, plastic mannequin thing, it's not going to work properly, but it still worked. Usually you want something like this where it's just the dress on a white background. So my advice to you would be to prompt something like this: lay flat image of an elegant purple dress, white background. The key word here is lay flat. And I did the same for that varsity jacket as well. You don't always need to do it, but sometimes it helps to give you this type of, Pinterest type of style image of just the clothing. Even better if you have your own. And one more I want to show you with elements. I took this character of a raccoon race car driver, and yeah, he's wearing sunglasses and a visor. I thought it was silly, but still looked funny and cool. And then I took this F1 car image, and I also toggled on the auto sound feature and put Formula One race car speeding down the track. And this was the result of merging those two images. Now, if you listen closely, you'll hear a hint of music. That tends to happen even if you don't prompt for it. So it's not always perfect, but man, did it get that sound of the roaring engine pretty spot on. Now you're able to use up to 4 elements. I find 2 is probably ideal. 3 can work, but it really depends on the type of video you want to do. It's going to take some experimentation on your part, but as you saw, it can work really well when it does. And finally, we have the audio tab. And basically what this is that you can add audio after the fact. So let's say you generated video, you weren't sure about the sound, you change your mind and you want to add audio to it. You could simply drag and drop the video here or click on it and import the video the same way. And if you look here, it says under 30 seconds or from generation history. If we scroll down here, you see you just put in the sounds the same way I showed you earlier. In this case, I just put ambient sounds of cars passing and people talking in the distance. It's the same image of the rugged man. Now there's also an option to keep original sound. So if you had video with sound already and you wanted to add on top of it, you can toggle this on and see what that gives you. And then you can also do it the same way with auto speech. Same options that we just looked at. Now let's have a listen of that generated sound. So pretty straightforward and easy to do. One little flaw I want to point out is that when you have video with people in it, the tendency for auto sound is to want to give your character voices, or sometimes it'll mumble and grumble nonsensical things. Let me show you this example. On one hand, it could have worked. I was thinking about using it because it's like she's just waking up and gasping, but it wasn't the sound effect that I was going for. Where it came super handy was for the short little video I posted the other day on the cinematic sequence, and I wanted these demonic creatures to grumble and roar, and that's where auto sound really came through for me. And even in this scene, it was more of a happy accident where he was speaking, I don't know, demonic Klingon. But it just sounded so cool, I added it to the video. Yeah, so if you want weird, demonic, nonsensical language, just use auto sound. Well, there you have it, my friends. All the latest video features available at OpenArt. There's so much that we're going to be adding to the product, so make sure to stick around. Come back for the tutorials to come next week. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Until then, I'll see you when I see you.